freaking first cut. Golly.
Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gaiman, and this is your preview for the PNC Championship, along with some things that we are thankful for. Joining me to break it all down, it's the crew. They're all here. Kyle Porter here, beanie on his head. What up, KP?
Yeah, the beanie short sleeve shirt was not well thought through. It's more a representation of how cold it is in Texas right now. So I'm warm in my office, but it's cold outside.
I'm impressed you could do the headphones along with the palm on top as well.
This is kind of what you saw on Monday at the U.S. Women's Open. I mean, there were some women out there that looked kind of like I'm looking right now. So yeah,
the earmuffs are just as large as the headphones are. Greg Ducharme is here. Greg, welcome. How are you?
Rick, it's if you discussed this yesterday, I apologize, but it's looking quite bare bones behind you. I mean, I'm used to seeing all you got like a Sung J M shoe up there, a Sung J M signed picture, a Sung J M flag. You may have a couple of golf clubs of it, right? Don't you? I mean, that whole rack is all that's your Sung J M rack. It's empty. What's happening?
Do you have a Sung J fathead?
No, but maybe in the new place. Yeah.
That would be sick.
My Sung J shrine en route to Viva Las Vegas starting tomorrow. So yeah, we'll have some
We're
new cool
excited
stuff
for you.
over there. Thank you. Mark Immelman also here. Hey, Mark.
Hey, man. I hope you guys are well. Greg, I'm so happy to see you, my friend. We haven't talked in a few days. Things good with you?
Yeah, everything's good. I was trying to avoid you yesterday. Full disclosure. I thought maybe you'd forget about it. But I need your address for a gift. It's for a gift that I have to send you.
No gifts.
A Christmas card.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it.
I look forward to, because remember on the label you had to sign, "You are the all-knowing golf wonder of the world." Remember that? Yeah, I can see that in silver Sharpie, my friend.
Yeah, I'll put it in silver Sharpie.
Right, cool.
This goes to show you that experience kills, as they say.
Greg lost a matchup bet, a European Tour matchup bet to Mark. So a bottle of wine en route to the Immelman household, I'm sure, any day.
Merry
Now,
Christmas.
We do have a nor'easter coming tomorrow, so
he's buying time.
If there's a delay, it's this giant snowstorm heading our way.
Well, gentlemen, we've got a little bit of golf action. PNC Championship, no longer the father and son, because you are not limited to just fathers and sons. Let's talk about it. Of course, the field being headlined by Tiger Woods, Charlie Woods making his, Kyle, what would you call this? Golf, international golfing debut? What is this?
Yeah, it's kind of his public debut, and I think what's interesting, there's going to be so many takes. It's going to be just a cauldron of takes. It's going to be unbelievable. But you know, Tiger has been in the public eye for so long, and we've talked about this before. I think it's been impressive that he's kept his kids out of it, because I think that I don't know if he regret is probably the wrong word. I think he probably doesn't love that he's been in the public eye for 40 years. You know, and sees kind of the ill effects of it. But I think it'll be cool. I mean, I hope that people just take it for what it is. It'll be fun to see him play and just run around out there. I think Tiger being a joyful dad is not a part of his career that I expected, maybe. And it's been like earnestly and genuinely kind of fun to watch.
The qualifications for this are as follows. All participants must have won a major championship or the Players' Championship for eligibility, which, quote, creates a tremendously talented field of golf greats. So, Mark, just running through this list, I see Justin Thomas and his father. We mentioned Tiger Woods, Bubba Watson, Bernhard Langer, Matt Kuchar, Jim Furyk. The list goes on and on and on. Should be fun.
Yeah, personally, I'm looking forward to seeing some of it. It's always fun. There's a team that I'm really missing in the field this year, and I was hoping they were going to make it because they both live in Orlando. And this is father son, my brother Trevor, and his 14-year-old son now, Jake. And over Thanksgiving, we were down there, and my daughter Isabel and Jacob played together, and he can go a little bit. And then I saw my brother the other day on social media posting some launch monitors, some flat scope data, and he flew one like 325 or something with the ball speed up there. So I'm like, well, maybe dad and son would get into this, but I have not spoken to them. So I'm disappointed not that they're not in the field. I thought they would have been good, but it's cool to see the relatives get out there and have a bit of a hit and giggle. Really, is what it is.
Yes, that is certainly true. It's a scramble, Greg. So you get the 2 rounds. It's Saturday and Sunday. They're going to choose the best shot after every single shot. We've seen obviously low scores here in the past. I think it was a Lehman Longer playoff last year before. I think the Longers won it, right?
Who could forget?
Who could forget? Apparently I did.
So Bernard Langer's son is quite a player too. He plays at the University of Penn, and he plays with a guy that we teach here up here at the academy. So he's a very, very good player by all accounts, and we saw that last year, as we all remember. But the team that I'm really watching out for is the Dailies. I mean, little John, as they call him, 16 years old.
Cool name.
He can really play. I mean, he can hit it a long way, just like his father. And he has recently won. This is an event on the Junior Golf Tour. It's the Fall Kickoff event, which took place in September. He won that event. So he's a guy. He's a pretty accomplished player. He's got great touch, and I think with his father and his father's health, that's a little bit in question. But I think he's shown that he can still go. So I'm really looking forward to watching those two go.
I think you should be able to sub in players that have the same last name as you. So
we need an example.
Yeah. Talking about hot takes. Here we are.
This is the cauldron of takes.
Yeah.
Bubba and Tom Watson should get to play together. Maybe JT could call up Earl Thomas, see what he's doing. Greg, do you like that, Greg?
Yeah, I like that one. Or maybe Mike Thomas. Turn this into a little Michael Thomas from the New Orleans Saints. Make it a little
I think he's
celebrity event.
I think he's playing with Mike Thomas.
Right.
Yeah,
I'd say
Johnson
Michael
could
Thomas.
probably put together.
Yeah.
Like Johnson's a pretty, they probably get a lot of good players with last name Johnson out there.
Yeah, DJ and Zach Johnson. That'd be pretty sweet.
That would be. Or you could get Chad Johnson, but he's now Ocho Cinco.
I think he's back. I think he's back to Chad Johnson now. I think he changed it back.
Oh, did he go back?
Yeah. Well, we can talk about the Thomases. So Mark, here we go. The Vegas has laid a stake in the sand here, and they are calling Justin Thomas and his father the favorites, pretty significantly, by the way. I guess that goes a long way when you're the number 3 player in the world. So they're kind of, I described Tiger and Charlie as the headliners, but Vegas likes Justin Thomas and his dad a bit more.
Well, as they should, with Justin being by far and away the leading player in the field. I have one question, because I think it might have a bit of an effect on the event, because I haven't really paid attention to the rules. I've watched it some on a weekend, on a Saturday afternoon, but I don't know if there's a certain number of tee shots, given that it's a scramble, that each player in the team has to hit. Because otherwise, Mike Thomas is going to sit in the car and just watch his boy fire away and then go and hit an approach shot and maybe a putt. So I'm keen to see how the rules transpire, because if Mike has to hit a few tee shots, look, he's a good player in his own right, but he's a little tender when I've watched him walk around the golf course at times. I think they'd have to go really hard to beat the Langers, because that's a formidable combination.
I want to watch Mike Thomas against Charlie Woods straight up. Just see what happens.
That would be part of the cauldron.
That would be awesome.
That'd be good.
That would be sweet.
I also imagine there's different sets of tees out there, right? I mean, we're not sticking, everybody on the tips, and I don't know if then the players all, the professionals all play from one spot, and then their relatives play from another spot. I don't know. Well, I guess we're going to find out.
We need a rule sheet. Where's producer Jake? I'm sure he's feverishly on the internet right now.
The Charles Barkley tees.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's kind of we're gonna take a quick break. KP, you wrote this article about what we are thankful for this year in golf, and I think it's something that we want to dive into. So we're gonna do that on the other side. First, we're gonna take a quick break and hear a word from our partners, and we're back. All right, KP, so you've got an article up on CBSSports.com right now. 5 reasons to be grateful that golf was able to stave off significant issues and play in 2020. I like this. We're going to go through things that we are thankful for, but because you wrote the article, Kyle, you go last.
Yeah,
You
Oh,
don't
I
get to
go
go.
last.
You
Oh,
go, yeah, you go last.
I
Unless
didn't
you
see
want,
that coming.
you can
Yeah, I
set the
didn't-
table here. You can set the table, but you go last. I mean, you've already have your answers in.
it feels like Rick just put an exploding ball on the tee for me, and I got just hoodwinked, and so now I'm going last.
Yeah, you go last because you wrote the article. Greg, we're going to start with you. Things
Okay.
that you are most thankful for in the 2020 calendar year.
All right, I'm going to give you one thing, and it's a little bit different than the theme of Kyle's article, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And I imagine that you guys are going to have some takes along those lines, which has a lot to do with some of the players and things they accomplished. But the thing that I'm most grateful for this year is the fans, not just the fans of the PGA Tour, which we didn't see on the golf course after March, but the fans of our show, right? The fans of golf media, the fans of golf content. And those are the people that, quite frankly, keep us in business. They pay for our families, our children's meals, right? And it allows us to do what we love. And I know that we all agree, we enjoy this. So you can tell before we get on the air, during the time when we're on the air, after we're on the, we're having a great time. And we get to do that for only one reason, because there's people that are interested in listening to golf content. And so some of them happen to choose us. And I'm so grateful that they have the passion and enthusiasm about the game that we all share. Because I've noticed a couple of things during this, the time doing the show here with you guys, and also during the pandemic. One, the golf fan is highly educated. And they follow the game in great detail. Some of the things people tweet at me, some of the information, the statistics some of these people have, it blows my mind. And it just says that they are fully immersed in the game and they love it. And I think that's really cool. And I'm really grateful for it. Because as I said, it allows us to keep going. So, and then there's one other thing. Well, that's basically the gist of it. It's how educated and how passionate the fan is. It's the other part is the passion about it, right?
Yeah.
How passionate these people are about the game, and they love consuming it. They love learning about it. They love the knowledge. And I mean, I've people reach out to me. They're listening to 5 or 6 golf podcasts, and they listen to every single one. And they constantly are consuming golf content, which it gives us work, gives us a job. So I'm really grateful for that this year.
There is a thirst for golf that especially we saw in July that I don't think has gone away. I think when people get to see golf for the big time players for the first time, or maybe the first time in a while, it's easy to start rooting for guys, and it's easy to start rooting against guys, and I think it creates a really good environment. Mark, we're going to transition this over to you. 2020, and I've said this before, you've kind of laid eyes on this from a lot of different angles, here with us in the studio, on the course with the guys. So things that you're thankful for here in the 2020 calendar year.
Well, Greg makes a very good point, and Kyle, I love to read his stuff, and it was a well-written, very appropriate article, I thought. But for me personally, this is a real personal take, and first off, I'm thankful to be a part of this first cut, because this is it's a fun podcast. It's insightful. There's a lot of good information, and when I'm on the road, I listen to it because you guys come with great takes and stuff, and so it's fun for me to be a part of this and sort of bring my lane, if you will. But from a personal point of view, there's 2 elements beyond the first cut. First off, I'm really, really thankful that Jay Monahan was as resolute as what he was, because after Colonial, when we came back from this lockdown, we went to Hilton Head, and then there were a couple positive tests, Graham McDowell amongst, I think it was Graham McDowell and a couple of guys, and all of a sudden the media were calling for another lockdown. And Jay was resolute. He got up there in front of the media and he said, "We believe in our systems. We're going to keep on going. We know we're doing the right thing." And he just sort of dug his heels in, and it worked out in his favor, thankfully. And I remember catching up with him. It was right before the first round, maybe, in Hilton Head. And you could see he looked tired. And I just said to him, "Commissioner, man, great job." And he goes, "Thanks, I appreciate you." And as you look through everything that happened now, I'm real thankful that he did that, because he did that. this first cut gets to talk about the world's best players. Because he did that, I'm able to go out on the golf course and have a job. And so many folks listening to this perhaps lost jobs this year in this horrid 2020. So I'm really thankful for the CBS gigs. I'm thankful for Commissioner Monahan and for the PGA Tour just staying the course, because I think history, if they haven't been already, I believe history will judge them very, very well for what they did here in 2020 to sort of lead the way and stay the course.
It's a really great sentiment, and I completely agree, Mark, and I completely agree, Greg. And I think there's been so much bad in 2020. There's been so many things that have had people anxious and upset and just in bad situations. The game of golf in general has been a bright spot, and not just the tour, not any tour. I mean, rounds of golf at your local golf course were up. I mean, there's just people playing. There's people out there. It's one thing that you can certainly partake in a socially distant and safe manner, and I think a lot of people took advantage of it, which is great, because for how many years were we hearing these golf courses are closing and, rounds are down and young people aren't getting into golf. And I'm hoping that people who might have found the game or found a reason to get back into the game this year continue that and continue to not only, help with the professional side of it, but also with the casual side of it. I think it's a big deal. Okay. Kyle, you literally wrote the article on this. I'd like to now pass the torch over and hear about. I mean, I some of these are like some of the things that you have listed in this article, I almost forgot about. I mean, the year was so crazy, right? And to see them in kind of 1 through 5 format is brilliant stuff.
I think that I feel like the Grinch taking it back to the actual golf that we watched, because Mark and Greg were so, just offering personal anecdotes that I agree with. And I think that, to Greg's point, I think it's been cool to see that people are really interested in kind of obscure golf things as well, not just DJ winning the Masters, but, like just stuff that we wouldn't normally follow. It's like, oh, this is actually really interesting. I think it's made people who are already golf fans even more so, like even more interested in things that were golf related. So I'll just run through my 5 real quick on the course. One was DJ's destruction. He made $23 million. I love that stat, by the way. I think since Brooks called him out. Brooks calls him out at the PGA 3rd round, 23 mil since then.
Brooks, you can call me out, homie. Let's go.
As somebody on Twitter said, leave the quiet ones alone. I thought that was good.
That's great.
Number 2, Bryson Mania. We'll get into that more in our next episode. Just talk kind of like a year in review type deal. Superlatives. Obviously, everybody is aware of everything that went on with Bryson and his B-roll from Instagram and just everything that was. We should do a whole episode on things that Bryson did this year.
There's a list of the things that Bryson did this year, and it's a mile long, and there's still like things that are missing. The guy is a content machine. Talk about making our jobs easier, Bryson. Thanks, bud.
Yeah. Elite finishes. How about the finishes that we got after the restart? We got Workday. We got BMW, where Rom and DJ were going back and forth. PGA was insane. And then the Memorial was pretty good too, even though Rom was up big. The finish of it and everything that went down at the very end was pretty wild. So that was awesome. And then I've got Colin Morikawa's Rise. And again, we'll get into this more in our next episode, talking about superlatives. But if we don't get the restart, Morikawa's still a great player, and it would have eventually played out like that, I think. But we would have missed out on him winning a couple of events, him winning a major championship. And then the last one is the Masters. Yeah. Masters was awesome. And it was bizarre. And there were parts of it that I didn't like. I didn't like how it kind of lacked some juice on the weekend. Part of that was DJ rolling, but part of it because there weren't any people there. But it was still cool that it happened. And, Mark was there. I was there. It was surreal to be there. And it'll be something that, when I'm done doing all this, and whenever, I'll look back and be like, wow, that was crazy to have been there. And I'm really glad that it happened.
I just think that, and I think, Greg, you and I might have talked about this or at some point, where it was like, think about how our minds went over those 91 days, right? I mean, things were moving so fast. News was changing almost hourly. They were calling for, they were letting fans in Thursday at the Players Championship, but saying we're going to stop them at noon or we're not going to have fans tomorrow, all that stuff. And then 3 hours later, it was just moving it was just all so fast. And to think that we got all of this, Greg, right? Like we got the return, we got great moments, we got a Masters that was by no means like a sure thing for a long time. Like it's just crazy. Like I'm just trying to put myself in March, in April, in May, and what we were thinking.
I was I think Kyle and I were doing a reaction pod to some news, and I was saying I think they're playing today because that means they're gonna finish. I think they're gonna come back tomorrow. I think they can finish. And fortunately it never aired, but it changed so quickly that it completely, the plan altered in a matter of moments as we're speaking.
Yeah, that wasn't it's hard to think back on now, but that wasn't a crazy thing to say. Even the week heading into the Players, Arnold Palmer was the week before.
Yeah.
And you're like,
right.
I don't know. Like it seems still kind of ethereal. Like, I don't know what's happening.
It's golf. It's outside. There's plenty of room.
Every day felt like a month compressed into a day. Remember?
Yeah.
And so from like Wednesday to Friday night, you're like, I just went through like a month's worth of emotions and news and information in 2 days. And I don't know what to do with that. And so
now I'm not going to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right.
It was wild.
It was absolutely wild. Mark, you're usually our most eloquent one. Why don't you put a bow on this for us?
No, you know what? I was listening to your guys' conversation, and it occurred to me how so many things people kind of take for granted. And 2020 was rough for many, many people. But Kyle's sharing stories about Morikawa, and you guys are talking about the Players Championship and the Masters. And then when Kyle mentioned, well, Mark and I were there for the Masters, it occurred to me that, all of these events, all of these shots, I was there. I got to see this stuff. And everyone talking about I can't remember the term that Kyle used to sort of say this has been a watershed sort of a year. Because I'd sort of forgotten this stuff, to be honest with you. I was thankful for my job with CBS and with you guys and the tour and such, but to sit back now and go, dang, this is some sort of a deal. And I'd love for the four of us to get together, kind of like this podcast, and just sort of share some stories, because holy smoke, if you remind me and I get to look back on what happened in 2020 and I got to lay eyes on this stuff, it's really unbelievable, to be honest with you.
Greg, save some of that wine.
That stuff is gone.
We need a fireside with the First Cut pod. All right, gentlemen, lots of great stuff on tap. We're going to do some 2020 golf superlatives, which I already know is going to be awesome and spicy and fantastic. But for now, I want to thank Kyle Porter, who you can find on Twitter at Kyle Porter CBS, Greg Ducharme, who you can find at The Real GFD, and Mark Immelman, who you can find at Mark_Immelman. This has been The First Cut, and we'll catch you next time.